Mr. Walton, did you make contact with aliens? Were you taken to another planet, to a mothership? How did they communicate with... Can you tell me what they look like? Can you tell me how many of them there were? Were you given food?
But the teachers are alive. They're not books. They are the very living essences of nature itself.
What a strange person.
Unbelievably powerful supercomputer that's running our reality, and we don't have a clue as to how to operate it.
So when maybe you or somebody else creates an AGI system and you get to ask her one question, what would that question be?
What's outside the simulation?
Say in your mind, say to yourself, I am more than my physical body, because I am more than physical matter. I can perceive that which is greater than the physical world.
Do not know all the answers to the questions about reality. Do not claim to know the ultimate truth about life. I seek that which has been made hidden as a part of a family and explorers of consciousness. I'm the void.
Welcome to Lighting the Void.
All broadcasting live from New York, upstate near the Great Lakes, it's Lighting the Void, and I'm your host, Joe Root, and we're live on the Fringe FM, KTLK Digital Broadcasting. That's at fringe.fm. And it's midnight here on the East Coast, and yeah, it's April the 1st officially. I'm already getting happy birthdays from people in the chat room. That's right, I'm April Fool's, baby. And speaking of which, we're going to talk about some pretty, I guess, experimental stuff tonight. I don't know how you feel about psychedelics, DMT, your pineal gland, your third eye, and all of the wonderful stuff that comes from it. But apparently, there's some mystic treasures in there. So we will be going over this topic tonight for sure with our guest coming up here shortly, John Chavez. And I think... I'm kind of stoked. Like, April's one of my favorite months too. Not just because it's like my birthday month or whatever. Night Stalker, by the way, bro, like, you got to come into the show. It's when I know you're not going to be able to be here tomorrow night. So if you want me to Skype you in, let me know, because I'd love to do it, man, to have you a part of this. I want to hear about your movie experience, bro. So let me Skype you if you ain't working. I don't know. So thanks for all the happy birthdays. DM me or whatever, brother, if you can. So, but another reason why I like April is because of the night sky stuff. There's always really cool stuff that happens in the night sky, right? So I'm a star watcher. I love watching the stars. I haven't found too many really cool spots up here in upstate New York where I could actually skywatch, but maybe I'll find some for this month. But the cool thing is, I'm trying to get Night Stalker in here too. So the cool thing is I can tell you what's going to happen. Now, you know how you've heard of April showers bring May flowers and all this stuff, but this is when people are like, yeah, the winter's over and we get to go outside and play, right? Are you there, Night Stalker? Oh yeah. Yeah. What's up, bro? Cool.
Happy birthday, my man.
Thanks, bro. So I was just talking about the stuff that's going to happen in April in the night sky because I love the night sky. So I
swear, literally, like almost as soon as it hit midnight, the temperature increased like 10 degrees here. I'm sitting outside and it just started downpouring. So you're saying the April showers thing?
Yeah,
it really is like pretty nice outside right now.
Right, like April's the big transformation month of everything, right? Yeah. So what we get in April is we get the pyramid of light after sunset. If you guys really see this, the week surrounding the equinox, and it's happening kind of right now. It brings this kind of like an opportunity to spot this phenomenon that's only visible in the night sky 2 times a year. So around the March equinox, in the rearview mirror, time is running out to see until it happens again around September. But there's a pyramid-shaped glow known as the zodiacal light. And if you can actually get away from light pollution, you can see it. It should be visible during the first nights of April for those with a really good eye.
Well, that's the first time I'm hearing about this. I never heard this before.
Yeah. So like if you live in, thanks Brent, appreciate it, brother. Bri, if you live in like the desert areas and stuff that have the really big night skies, you can see this. It's called the pyramid of light. It's like a dim glow, and it kind of comes around the moon, and especially it's like a.
Why do you know?
The dim glow, it's caused from light. It's caused by light from the sun reflecting off dust scattered throughout the solar system. And it's not easy to spot, but if you're in, I don't know, like where Tim is out in the Bakersfield area, stuff like that, you can see it. It's really cool. I've seen pictures of it
That's
too.
Cool. Yeah.
And then the Lyrid, however you pronounce it, that meteor shower happens around April 22nd. And every time that shower, I've always seen meteors. And then around the 26th and the 27th, we're going to have the super pink moon. And that's going to be, we're about to go into a series of super moons, right? It seems like we're always having super moons, but the series of 2021 is going to start in April. Okay. Yeah, I don't know why did they call it a pink moon. Oh, let me look at this. Why is it called pink moon? It's a name based on the pink ground phlox, which is one of the first wildflowers to bloom in spring. So, and then in 2024, we're going to have a total solar eclipse. Y'all remember the last time we had one of those? It was cool. It was really cool.
The one, it was like 2017 when all the Mothmen started popping up around the same time, right? Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah.
And this one's going to go right through my hometown in Arkansas. Like, everybody doesn't get the total solar eclipse, but the line that it goes through is going to be Dallas, Little Rock, Arkansas, Bloomington, Cleveland, and Buffalo. And so it's going to go totally dark during the daytime. That's some pretty wicked stuff, too.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
It's like vampire time, yeah.
Yeah, man. It's cool. I love it. So, dude, I know didn't you watch your movie?
Man. Dude.
No spoilers, but how was it?
This movie. Yeah, no spoilers, but it is epic. Absolutely epic. It's tough for me to not spoil stuff, but like, did you watch the last one? The one that came out in 2019?
No.
The King of the Monsters one? Oh, man. Can I spoil that one a little bit?
Yeah, sure. Go for it.
Well, like the way that the Titans get around, the way Godzilla gets around the planet is via the Hollow Earth. Like, and they put that in there like a bunch of times. Like they talk about the Hollow Earth a lot. And no spoilers, but you get more of that in this one. And it is wild. Like, if you have any interest in the Hollow Earth, check it out, even if you don't like Godzilla. But if you just like kaijus and stuff, like, it is crazy. Really crazy. It's cool.
Man. I think I'll watch. Did you rent it? Do you have to rent it?
HBO Max. So I got HBO Max when Wonder Woman came out on Christmas. And I just kind of kept it for this and Justice League and everything.
Okay.
Yeah. This is the thing they're doing now, like once a month. Warner Brothers, all their movies that were supposed to go in theaters all year are going to HBO Max right away for like 1 month in theaters, and then so like Dune and like Mortal Kombat in a few weeks, which also looks crazy. Did you see that trailer?
No.
Oh man, check that out! It looks brutal. Like they're saying it could be the best martial arts movie, like the best fight scene.
They're making another Mortal Kombat.
It looks crazy. There's like in the trailer, there's one scene where Sub-Zero like stabs somebody, and then the blood like splatters out of the back of his head, and he like freezes it in midair and stabs him again with this like frozen blood.
Oh my gosh!
Absolutely
I can't
wild.
believe that they haven't made a Mortal Kombat. I like the old Mortal Kombat. It used to pump me up when I was a kid playing laser tag. They always played that Mortal Kombat song while we were all running around chasing each other. You know?
Yeah.
That was like the song to get y'all pumped up before like war.
Mortal Kombat. Yeah, no, definitely.
Yeah.
This one kind of came out of nowhere though. All of a sudden the trailer just dropped, and I was like, wow, I didn't realize they were making one, but it looks wild. No, definitely. I mean, I don't want to plug Warner Brothers. I'm not getting paid for them, but like, I would definitely
plug
check it out. Check it out. Like any Hall of Worth fans, like once a few weeks passes, we can start talking about it. But it is absolutely crazy what they did, and then like all the fighting is it's wild, really cool. It's crazy we're living in a time where we get to watch these special effects like this. Like it's a movie where Godzilla and Kong are fighting each other, and it looks real. It's crazy. Like what a time to be alive, you know?
Yeah, that is. I'm kind of stoked about that, actually.
It's sick, yeah.
I used to stay up and play Mortal Kombat until I was like turned into a zombie, like for days, you know, when it first came out, when I was a kid.
I played, I had the Dreamcast, and they had, I think it was like Annihilation was the version they had for that.
You had a Dreamcast?
Yeah, the Sega, or maybe the original Xbox. It was like Annihilation, I think, but they had the blind character who couldn't see, but he could float people around. That was pretty sick. That's a cool. He was like a little like a void walker for Mortal Kombat, using all his astral powers and stuff. It was cool.
Man, my favorite character in Mortal Kombat was Raiden, obviously.
Yeah, Raiden's badass. Yeah.
Yeah. Or he could just
that was honestly the
teleport.
worst part of the movie to me. Like the movie version of Raiden was probably the worst part to me.
Screwed that up, didn't they?
I don't know what they did with that. I don't know what the idea was with that, but it's the 90s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ah, man. We should watch that sometime, dude. Like,
dude, we should watch that.
Yeah. So, Night Stalker's given me this idea that we might do. We might do movie commentaries for patrons or whatever.
It'd be fun.
Yeah. And just pick apart like the symbolism and stuff of it.
Yeah. Like sci-fi, fringy, horror movies, like different weird, esoteric movies, and just, all of us void walkers can dissect it together, chill and watch it. It like adds another layer to all these big events. Like right now, I feel like I'm watching it by myself. I can't even talk about how cool it was because there's some serious things we can analyze from this movie. But I feel like I gotta wait a week for everyone to kind of catch up on their own time watching it. It'd be cool if we can all watch it together, you know.
Well, we're gonna talk about. You know what we're gonna talk about here in just a minute. We're gonna talk about this thing called DMT Quest. All right.
What's this about?
So DMT Quest, and if you go to DMT, I hope I'm on the right website. Oh my gosh. Yeah, DMTquest.org. I think I put .com on my flyer, didn't I? No, I did. I put .org. So it's not a movie, it's a movement. That's what it says, that will affect everybody everywhere. It is a nonprofit research and educational organization that focuses on discovering innate pathways to unveil the mysteries of human perception as well as potential. The mission encompasses truths so deep that they can seem movie-like at times, and it signifies the ultimate quest for answers about life, and it will comprise a comprehensive interdisciplinary study of the mechanisms related to and responsible for internal dimethyltryptamine production within the human body. And we believe that the significance regarding naturally produced DMT is potentially far greater than simply providing hallucinatory visions within the mind. A combination of transparency in terms of lab results, finances, open discussion, and the journey of the study in video documentary format will provide the platform for the general public to comprehend its implications. So they're just going to take a DMT quest, man.
Yeah, wow.
I got to tell you though,
sounds legit.
Yeah. And after everything I've been through, like, and what some of the studies say about DMT, like I'm kind of ready for just a massive dose of it, honestly.
I think I'm ready.
You know,
I could be ready for that.
I mean, Dennis McKenna is involved with this. Andrew Gallimore, we've had him on the show. You know, here's the thing that you could go through, well, imagine that you have all, like, just say these negative neural pathways that are all lined up in your brain, right? And they're tracing out all of these negative neural pathways in your mind that cause you to have negative emotions. And then it takes, years of therapy and 10 years of bad relationships or whatever to work out. Or you could do some DMT and shake up all those neural pathways like a snow globe and start over.
Yeah. That's my biggest fear, honestly, about it. That's what I hope he can kind of relieve from me, is I don't want to really shake up my neural pathways like that. You know what I mean? I'm afraid of like what they'd reassemble into, maybe, you know? All I have is my mind. I don't want to, I'm afraid of kind of shaking that snow globe. But the idea of that there's hidden worlds that we can reach through these means, that's infinitely intriguing, you know?
Yeah, it is, isn't it? It's pretty cool to think about. And I'm honestly ready. Like, I'm just ready. Have you ever seen that movie? What was that movie? Requiem for a Dream? Isn't that the name?
I haven't. No, I haven't actually. It is, but I haven't seen it.
I'm sorry. It's Eternal.
Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind.
Yes, that one.
Yeah, with Jim Carrey. Yeah, that was cool.
That's cool. So I've kind of had that experience in my life. Like, and you do kind of wish you could just erase all that stuff. Yeah, because it hurts you so much, right? Like it's painful. And if you could just erase it, imagine people that have not only that, but they got like 5 or 6 or 7 different kinds of things that they like that they just want to go away. Well, I don't think DMT, based on all of the people that I've talked to that done it damages you or anything. As a matter of fact, I don't think it makes you forget anything. It just probably reprograms how you think about things, you know? Maybe.
Yeah. I mean, like at the very least, it seems like it gives you some kind of trying to find the word, not like a godlike experience, but some kind of like almost like some kind of mystical experience. It like forces you. You're like guaranteed. Like the way Rogan describes it, he's like, yeah, you're gonna see God pretty much. You're gonna experience like something else. If you have questions about whether there's something more than what you see around you, this is gonna give you the answers. I mean, that's the thing that I'm really like. That's most intriguing to me. You know. Like more than like the rewiring of the brain. But obviously, like I listen to countless hours of Duncan and McKenna and all this kind of stuff, people telling me the benefits of it. But it's one of those things that gets intimidating because it's powerful.
Maybe I should come up to Boston or something and like.
That's what I'm saying, dude. Yeah.
We can do it together. That way you don't have to be alone, you know?
For sure, yeah. It's all set and setting. And with the Void Walkers, that'd be sick.
Yeah, I'll walk you through it. Right.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
I'll have to be the one that's like, it's okay.
Make sure I don't try to fly. Like in real life, I imagine flying. You ever do that? You ever just like be standing there and just try to fly?
Yeah, actually, there's some information in that book by Samael Aumbior. That's how I had my first. That was part of the reason why I had my first out of body experience, is because in that book, Dream Yoga, he actually has you go out in your front yard every day or wherever. I was in my front yard and actually attempt to fly, even though you can't. Just try to, and you look silly.
I know. Maybe once from the car.
Yeah, like
I'm always looking up.
I'm pretty sure my neighbors looked over and saw me kind of like raising up on one foot every now and then, trying to do the Superman thing.
Part of you feels like you can do it, right? Part of you just feels like it's possible. Like we can't do it right now, but it just seems like the fact that everyone likes to do it in dreams, the fact that we all feel like almost we should be able to do it. It seems like maybe in the future we'll figure it out somehow, or astrally, or something. I don't know. Well, somehow it seems like it's a power we can develop. But I'm also afraid that if I don't have any filter, I might try to do it in reality and hurt myself, you know? So that's what I need. I need a spotter, you know?
Yeah. There was this movie I remember watching when I was a kid. It was called The Boy Who Could Fly. Have you ever seen that?
No.
It's like, it was a silly movie. I think you'd probably have to be around my age. But it's like this boy that would sit at the edge of the window and he would just, stick his arms out and imagine that he was flying or whatever. And then, it's called The Boy Who Could Fly. You should look it up. And eventually, because he believes in it so much, he takes off flying in the movie. And
there's something about it, yeah.
It's a love story, right? It's like his neighbor girl is like, oh, wow, he really believes he's kind of the weird neighbor boy who thinks he can fly. And she's so intrigued by how weird he is. And then, he takes off flying one day and she flies with him. Sorry, ladies, we're not going to be able to live up to that one. but that
lower the bar a little bit.
Yeah. But it's always like movies like that too, or oh man, what was the vampire movie with Twilight, right?
Twilight, yeah.
Oh, it's the weird vampire guy who can stop cars with his forearm, you know, like, well, he can't live up to that either. Sorry, ladies.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
like, what are you guys doing to people? But
the weird thing about flying is I'm terrified of heights. Like I want to fly so bad for my whole life, but then I'm terrified of heights. Like the idea of skydiving, or even like watching videos of, you ever see those videos like those Russians who like climb the tops of skyscrapers, like free hand or whatever, and they go on top of like they go to the very top of like they just kind of like hang up there and like the very top of like the needles and stuff on the top of these buildings, and it's most ridiculous things. Like they just stand at the very tippity top of these like ridiculous structures with these like body cams on, and it gives me that, like I'm feeling it right now, the little tingle in your feet. I
saw that, and they just stand there.
It's so wild. Yeah, it's the craziest thing. And like you ever see those pictures of the people who build skyscrapers and just like walk around on top of the like back in the early 1900s or whatever, and they would have their lunch on the top of the like 90 stories up, just chilling on top of like a metal beam and stuff. That's like, to me, the craziest job that's in American history. Like that is absolutely wild to me. Just chilling for 9 hours a day, walking around casually, no restraints, no nothing, just free form, walking around like it's no big deal.
Man,
wild.
Would you skydive though? Like,
no, that's what I'm saying. Like, no,
you wouldn't
I don't know.
do it?
I would. Maybe like if a girl asked me to go with her, I might.
You would do it for a girl, right?
That's the best.
That tells me for sure that you wouldn't do it on your own, right? Because I know the lengths you'll go for a girl, right? So I'm actually going to do something that I really don't want to do, and this is not me at all, but you know, I really like you, so.
No, but like even roller coasters and shit. I'm not a big heights guy.
Yeah. Don't be doing stuff that you wouldn't do normally for girls, man. I'm just telling you, like, you get yourself hurt, bro.
It's true.
I might jump off a building because but what if, like, so my point is though, is like, what if you did DMT and then you just changed your whole like fear output about it?
Yeah, that'd be nice. And that's the hopeful part of it. And that's like what I think it would do. But there's just the little piece in the back of my mind that I know is like irrational, and like I've listened to enough stuff to tell me that that's not going to happen. But you know, I'm just I don't know. I got all these things I gotta overcome. You know, I'm a thinker, not a doer. I gotta get out of my shells. You know.
Yeah. Yeah, Mike, it's a repeat. You can go. All right.
I hate this one. This one sucks.
Yeah, it's another repeat. That dang Joe, you know. Let's see. So we're gonna talk to this guy. I really like talking to people that are into this, but I haven't had the guts. Like Dick Kahn, that guy that he did like what 500 trips or whatever.
Oh yeah, that's crazy. Yeah.
That's insane. But some of these guys are like real psychonauts, and they spend most of their life or a big chunk of their life exploring these psychedelic realms, you know.
Yeah. I almost don't even want to tell them that I haven't, because like I feel like they wouldn't trust me, you know. They're so like these guys, it's almost like a badge, it's almost like an initiation with them, you know.
Yeah, it's a whole nother mystery school for sure.
Exactly.
Well,
very cool.
We're going to talk to our guests. We're going to go ahead and take our first break here. If you want to support the show, and thank you for the new patron that signed up today too, you can join our Patreon group. You can make a one-time donation or grab something from the store. I've been having some issues with the store. I guess maybe I know Emily tried to buy a sweater or something and couldn't get it, or something's going on there. Yeah, so I got to figure out what's going on there. But I know the T-shirts and the hats and stickers and stuff are all good. Or you can get you some Void Walking socks too, for sure. All right, those are the awesome. Get some. We'll be right back. Well, our guests, stay with us. Night Stalker's here. It's April Fool's Day.
Happy birthday, brother.
Well, I mean, it is on the East Coast, but
FM listeners, did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or no Wi-Fi available, you can still listen to every minute of The Fringe FM by calling 701-719-3971. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. Saves your data plan and no extra cost if you have unlimited minutes. Call 701-719-3971. That's 701-719-3971. Listen to The Fringe FM on any phone, anytime, anywhere.
AncientLifeOil.com. That's AncientLifeOil.com. Are you stressed? I mean, who isn't? Anxiety creeping in? No, not that. Is sleep hard to attain because your brain just won't slow down? We're living in crazy times, and the fear knob has been turned up. Okay, there's an answer. Take a big breath, exhale, and go log on to AncientLifeOil.com. CBD, broad and full spectrum, organic and non-GMO CBD for you to enjoy. Change your tune from fear to calm. From brain overload to clear thinking. 0.003 THC on full spectrum and 0% THC on broad spectrum. Competitive pricing with the best quality. Also know everything is going to get better. No worries. Be happy. CBD can help calm so your nerves don't think they're a 6-string electric guitar. Enjoy life, smile, and log on to AncientLifeOil.com for great CBD. That's AncientLifeOil.com. You'll be glad you did.
Want to know what's on The Fringe FM? Check out our schedule at thefringe.fm.
Hola, Fringe listeners. This is Dave Cruz of Beyond the Strange, and you're listening to The Fringe FM.
This is Malorcas45, fan of The Fringe FM, challenging everyone to open their mind's eye. Listen to Lighting the Void with Joe Roop to gain precision for your third eye vision.
My name is Jake. I'm from Billings, Montana, and I am a void walker.
Hey, Joe Roop. Thanks for lighting the void. This is Janine in the bluegrass of Kentucky, and I am a void walker.
What's up, guys? This is Damien from San Marcos, Texas, and I'm a void walker. I listen to the show to keep myself aligned with the world.
Hi, this is Laura, aka Laura Lavender. I'm from Las Vegas, and I listen to Lighting the Void because it helps me understand some of the strangest experiences I've had. So thanks for all that you do and for always being there for us, Joe.
Hi, this is Kronox from Belgium, and you're listening to Lighting the Void with Joe Roop.
Hey, this is country music singer and void walker Jason Benoit, and when I need my fix on the world of magic and the capabilities of the human consciousness, I listen to Joe Roop right here on Lighting the Void Radio.
Born out of the alchemical tradition of Paracelsus is a medical tradition called Spagyria. Though not many people practice this work today, Phoenix Aurelius has been researching and teaching this work for the last 15 years, and he needs your support.
Hi, I'm Phoenix Aurelius, and I'm the founder of the Phoenix Aurelius Research Society, where I perform modern scientific research on the methods and techniques of Paracelsian alchemy and Spagyria for health, wellness, agriculture, ecology, and more. All my work is 100% funded by the public. So if you like what I'm doing and you want to support my research, please consider making a purchase of spagyric medicines from my apothecary, fund your own spagyric IDF wellness research, or participate in my group study or one-on-one immersion courses so that you can learn how to perform this work for yourself. I want to thank you in advance for your support.
Visit thefringe.fm/alchemy research and enter coupon code FRINGE and receive 15% off anything and everything on the website. That's thefringe.fm/alchemy research. And thank you for doing your part and keeping alchemy alive in the modern day.
It's almost April Fool's Day across the board here, but it definitely is on the East Coast. And we're here with the Night Stalker, who's co-hosting tonight because he can't make it for the April Fool's show tomorrow night because he's going to have to work. I still haven't figured out what I'm going to do for that birthday show yet. I thought about doing some type of hypnagogic thing or having some kind of call-in deal. We'll figure it out. But we have our guest here with us, and he's been on the show. It's been a long time, but he's back, John Chavez, and he's here with us. And you can go to the website, dmtquest.org, for reference. And he is the founder of DMT Quest, which is a nonprofit organization that is focused on raising money and awareness for endogenous DMT research, and believes that the communication of mystical and supernormal experiences is just as important as the scientific exploration of these occurrences. There needs to be a bridge between scientific results and the ability to the general public to understand these results in a straightforward manner. So he also believes in this digital age of media. He feels that a widely distributed ongoing docuseries can provide a tool to accomplish this goal. And after having operated as an independent researcher for 5 years and having written 2 books titled Quest for the Lion Tamer and delving into the mystery that is DMT, and Questions for the Lion Tamer 2, Swimming in Electric Endohuasca, John believes that it is now time to take everything to the next level. So welcome to the show, man. Welcome back.
Thanks so much for having me, man. I had a great time. I think I just looked it up, and I was on your show in May of 2019. So it's almost going to be coming up on 2 years, and it's great to be back. It's great to see that you guys are just keeping the show rolling along real strong with 700 plus episodes. So just thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's getting, I'm just pushing till we make it to 1,000, right? Then we'll see. Then we'll reevaluate once we get to 1,000. We'll go back to the chalkboard, right? But kind of, if you can, kind of explain to people
2 years, though.
The difference between, yeah, it definitely has been. Like what a lot of people talk about what DMT is, and a lot of us know what that is, but endogenous DMT, if you can.
Yeah, so like you said, most of the discussion about DMT is in regards to high dose experimental doses in which people see entities or they have some sort of connection with the divine and things of that nature. But endogenous DMT is focusing on the fact that DMT is actually produced within the mammalian system, including humans. It's been known for quite some time, ever since I believe the 1960s, 1950s. Scientists have been knowing that DMT is produced within the human body. And the biggest question is why. Unfortunately, ever since then, about 70 years ago, there hasn't been much research funds regarding endogenous DMT. So we haven't really been able to answer many questions as to what it's doing in the human brain, how does it affect our perception, when is it released, things of that nature. But in 2019, there was a study that came out of the University of Michigan at a Dr. Jima Borjigin's lab. Dr. John Dean actually performed most of the research regarding it. Was that, prior to this study in 2019, a lot of the hypothesis around endogenous DMT was surrounding the pineal gland. And everybody had been speculating that the pineal gland was the primary source of DMT in the brain. And that's what led to having our visionary experiences, maybe during near-death experiences or even during dreams. But that 2019 study pretty much rewrote the entire discussion regarding endogenous DMT, because they found that DMT is actually produced in the brain, in the extracellular fluid of the brain, at similar levels to serotonin, dopamine, and norepinephrine. So serotonin and dopamine are very commonly studied neurotransmitters. We feel as though they attribute or they're responsible for certain aspects of our mood or excitation or even memory. And the fact that DMT is floating around in that same fluid at the same levels as those neurotransmitters leads us to ask even more questions as to why are we always producing DMT in our brain. And the second aspect of the research out of Michigan was that there's 2 enzymes, INMT and AADC. Those are responsible for converting the amino acid tryptophan to DMT. And before this recent study, they had only found those two enzymes in the pineal gland, which is what led to the speculation that it was the only source of DMT in the brain. But the 2019 study actually verified that those two enzymes are found throughout the brain, throughout the choroid plexus and throughout the cerebral cortex, which are two predominant portions of the brain. So it just rewrote the whole script. It rewrote the whole conversation around endogenous DMT. The fact that, we're producing a hallucinogen all the time at, I would say, substantial levels. I mean, if we want to compare them to the neurotransmitters that we're really comfortable talking about, like serotonin, DMT is produced at similar levels.
Wow.
So what I've sat around and ommed for like hours trying to get it to leak out on its own, right? Like, seriously, I know I'm talking layman's and kind of redneckish. It's not very scientific, but you know what I'm saying? Like, just to sit there and I've get in a certain pose, man, and go, and you do that for a while. I heard that releases like natural DMT, right? Does that work?
I mean, let me ask you a question. Did you have any change in sensation, after you did it, and how long did you do it for?
Well, I didn't do it very long.
Good. For how long?
Maybe like 5 minutes, but I feel like, I feel like that it did kind of maybe really.
Come on.
But the glands are tricky, right? Because you got serotonin serotonin, then melatonin, right? And sometimes I think when I read these old spirituality books, I wonder sometimes if they're just talking about melatonin too, Could be.
Well, it's a fair, I guess, discussion to bring in melatonin, being that a lot of people's mystical states tends to happen during the evening hours or the early morning hours, where melatonin is secreted at higher rates than the daytime. But, interestingly enough, it appears as though DMT is produced all the time within us 24/7, because that's what the study was based on. It wasn't based on measuring DMT levels during the nighttime compared to the waking time. It seems as though it's produced there all the time. So, I mean, we want to talk about maybe getting into deeper altered states rather than producing DMT, because we're always producing DMT. So maybe we want to talk about some of the mechanisms to get into, like, really altering your brainwave states to have maybe more visionary experiences. I mean, from people that I've talked to, the Om chanting method of releasing these visionary states usually has to go on for about an hour to 90 minutes. So you got to pick up the pace, man.
Yeah, 5 minutes. 5 minutes ain't gonna cut it. All right.
But first, so like, what does it suggest that because we're making it all the time, it means it must be serving some kind of function in our body that we're not aware of? Like, in your opinion, what's your hunch on what it's doing? Like, I believe that we're not, our brain isn't creating consciousness, we're receiving it. So maybe this is like a fluid that acts as a medium in which, like, the transmission can be filtered through the brain or something. What do you believe it's doing?
Yeah, that's a good take on it. And if you want to take it a step further and say that the brain is a receiver of consciousness, maybe this entire reality is a hallucination to a certain extent. Yeah. And an invaluable one at that, right? Because, I mean, to be fair, if somebody was had psilocybin floating around in their brain all the time, or LSD floating around in their brain all the time, you would say that they were hallucinating, right? Just based on the chemical analyzation of that fluid. Yeah. And we happen to have DMT floating around all the time in the brain. So based on just a apples to apples comparison, I would be saying the same thing. The question is, can we mold this reality based on maybe upregulation of that system? And that's kind of really where a lot of my research has gone into, and that's what we kind of touch upon a little bit in the first documentary. So, yeah, I mean, I think it's a really exciting time for human history. Absolutely.
I wonder, are we really releasing it all the time, like day in and day out? Or I thought it just got released when we sleep a little and then when we die. I'm still learning about this too.
Yeah, I mean, that was the speculation that's the way it works, right? There's speculation until more established science comes across, and then we have to change the way that we perceive certain things And that's just the scientific mindset that's the way it's always been. So, at this point, the science has superseded that old conversation of we only release it when we die, or we only release it during the dream state. It seems as though it's a constant thing.
Constantly.
I mean, yeah, I mean, and if you look at all the research surrounding DMT, it's not just about the visionary states. Even in Rick Strassman's 1990 study at the University of Mexico, he administered 4 levels of DMT to the volunteers, and two of those levels were sub-psychedelic, meaning that they were just below the psychedelic threshold, but they still induced an effect. They induced euphoria. One of the subjects had experimented with heroin before, and he described a low-level DMT injection as similar to heroin. So, we have to recognize that not everything is all or nothing, right? It's not an all or nothing discussion. If you're not seeing aliens or angels, it doesn't mean that, DMT isn't floating around inside your brain.
Right.
You might just have that, catch a sunset and feeling a sense of euphoria and, gratefulness for being alive. And that could signify an upregulation of DMT. It doesn't have to be, 0 to 100. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So, like with I'm not an expert in pharmaceuticals or anything, but don't a lot of like antidepressants and those kind of drugs, they like impact, they affect the how serotonin's being developed in your brain?
Absolutely.
So are they working on, or could you do a similar function to increase or decrease the amount of DMT you're producing? Is that kind of what the game is? Like, is that kind of what you're trying to figure out?
Like take a pill for it?
Yeah, like the same way, or yeah, does it operate in a similar way to serotonin?
Oh, okay.
Like, do you know what I mean? Like,
I'm not trying to figure out a pharmaceutical that can upregulate DMT. That's not my goal. But yeah, like you're right in the sense of a lot of neuromodulators that are used for antidepressive properties. They modulate serotonin levels, whether they be monoamine oxidase inhibitors that upregulate serotonin, or SSRIs that, I guess, recycle serotonin. In regards to DMT, I mean, if we want to talk about compounds that are going to upregulate DMT and basically all the neurotransmitters alongside DMT, you're talking about monoamine oxidase inhibitors. So basically that's ayahuasca. So, I mean, that's really... I know people that are having full-on visionary or holding full-on visionary experiences with just the ayahuasca vine. A lot of people don't know that the ayahuasca vine doesn't contain any DMT. The only thing that it contains is a monoamine oxidase inhibitor, which I guess allows the DMT to remain active in the system without breaking down.
Yeah.
So we have this compound called monoamine oxidase, which goes ahead and breaks down DMT, breaks down dopamine, breaks down serotonin. But when you take ayahuasca, the vine, just the vine, then it allows that DMT in the system to build up. And if you take enough, and if you do enough Om chanting and breath work, then you can have a visionary experience just off that.
Not to get conspiratorial, but people say that the pharmaceutical industry is kind of if you're on all these antidepressants and stuff, it's affecting the way you're naturally releasing serotonin. Do you think that possibly it's affecting the way we're naturally releasing DMT, and maybe stifling these potential for higher levels of consciousness that we naturally?
It's definitely possible. I think it's definitely plausible. I think what we don't understand, or what a lot of people in the drug business or the pharmaceutical business, they seem to overlook or not even care about, is that we have a lot of these receptors for serotonin, melatonin, and I'm presuming even DMT throughout our gut. So when we're popping these pills, these receptors are getting hit all throughout the gut, causing all sorts of gastrointestinal issues, and they make their way to our brain as well, causing another cascade effect. But it's I think they're tinkering around with a system that's much more complex than they believe. I mean, if these compounds that they are creating synthetically were that effective, then depression wouldn't even be a thing. But depression is skyrocketing these days, right?
Yeah, my doctor tried to put, and like, I'm not a medical professional. We're not promoting that on this show at all. or saying we are. But my doctor tried to put me on antidepressants a couple of times. And after watching videos of people try to get off that stuff, I never took them. It just freaked me out too much. It really did.
Yeah, they seem tricky. I mean, I've never been on antidepressants, so I can't speak firsthand, but it seems like it takes time for them to clear out of the system. And that's really what scares me the most about them for other people on them, especially being that there seem to be so many other compounds, whether legal or illegal, that could have better effects. I mean, microdosing psilocybin mushrooms or microdosing DMT, or even focusing on, better health. Yeah, better health practices, proper respiration rate, getting enough sunshine, that whole thing, all these things play a huge role. It's not so easy for you to just take a pill and everything's going to work out. But, I guess they've trained people to think that, to want the easy way out, I suppose.
Yeah, for sure. Like entheogens and natural stuff could even, could help. But I think it's just to each his own too, because you hear people taking stuff like, I don't know, kratom or whatever. And then there's this whole thing about, well, it's addicting. It's not addicting. It's a big controversy, and some states think it's legal and some states don't think it is. But to me, it's like, okay, well, how can you have something like kratom in stores where the public can have access to it, or alcohol for that matter, and not allow people to microdose even, I would say, mushrooms or entheogens in their own home? Like that's
they're putting sugar,
proven to heal people. With all kinds of emotional issues.
They're putting sugar in every single thing we're eating, and that'll mess up your entire system. But like try detoxing off sugar and see what your mood's like.
Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, and if you want to get even crazy, I think that almost anything could be addictive.
Yeah.
I mean, look at phone usage, right? Look at the usage of all electronic devices and things of that nature. I think that it also comes to just your daily habits. Do you have like a routine? Do you have a way to clear out your nervous system? Do you exercise? It comes down to your habits. I think you can almost get addicted to almost anything, even certain things that are considered healthy. I think a lot of it comes down to your personality type, and do you have balance in your life,
Yeah, for sure. Definitely. Well, your personal experience, I'd like to ask you before we go to the top of the hour break here with this DMT substance. Have you had some profound experiences yourself with it? Because I think a lot of us are, the reason why that I mentioned before we brought you on that I was kind of ready to have this experience is because I feel like I'm mentally and ready for it, emotionally ready for it. It feels like a spiritual thing to me, and I'm just curious as to what your thoughts are on that.
Honestly, so the DMT Quest project is all about endogenous DMT and finding the reasons why we have DMT within us and how we can upregulate them and how they coincide with supernormal experiences. And, my experience that put me over the top and got me interested in the topic had nothing to do with smoking DMT or taking ayahuasca. It was a spontaneous sort of, I don't know, some people call it a spiritual awakening or my initial mystical experience. Because prior to it, I had not believed in anything mystical, spiritual, or supernatural. I didn't even care if it existed, to be quite honest. And then I got front row seats to the big show, and that kind of changed my perspective on how the world works and, the potentiality for humans and things of that nature. So that's really what, my perspective is all about. I'm not an expert on the exogenous or smoking DMT experience whatsoever. Sure. I've tried it a few times just to compare it to, how I physically felt during my mystical experience. And, there's some overlap, but for the most part, it's not really my primary interest.
I want to talk about your mystical experience too, maybe on the next segment here. But you've done both. Let me ask you this: the natural experience, mystical experience in the body. Are you saying that it doesn't compare, like for you, just for you, that there was no comparison? They were really kind of different?
Yeah, they're very different, like very different. Not visionary. Honestly, I don't really get much visionary experiences from DMT or ayahuasca, smoking DMT or taking ayahuasca. And I didn't really get much of a visionary experience from my mystical experience. It was very somatic, so very like electric feeling, and it allowed me to kind of tap into some, I guess you could call them dormant abilities or whatnot. And yeah, ever since then, I've been trying to reverse engineer that, and that's kind of the whole foundation for the project and things going forward.
Dormant abilities. What kind of dormant abilities?
Dormant abilities.
You got my attention.
I guess. Yeah, I guess just I don't know if you guys have ever heard of a fellow named Wim Hof.
Yeah.
But they know him as the Iceman. He's climbing the mountains in the snow and, wearing shorts and basically having full control over his autonomic nervous system, allowing him to withstand the cold. He's ran marathons in the desert with no water, kind of overcoming what we consider to be impossibilities with the human body. He's been able to overcome that and show that. And I guess in my mystical experience, I got a glimpse of that. I don't know if you want me to go into it now or
no
when we get back from the break, but I got a taste of that. I got a taste of concepts even like telepathy and being able to visualize outside your physical body.
Oh yeah, we got to talk about that.
Yeah,
let's get into that.
For sure.
Yeah, it was really strange. Really strange, but very replicable. So that's the most interesting thing to me.
Wow.
Oh well, yeah. So that's a good cliffhanger then for sure, right there. We'll go ahead and take our break. We'll be right back with John Chavez. Go to the website dmtquest.org for reference. Also our website lightingthevoid.com. I'm Joe Rupert here with the Night Stalker and our guest John Chavez. Stay with us.
This is No Way Jose, a Northern California Piscean stuck in the Arizona desert. I'm a void walker, and I got the shoes to prove it. So what do I do when my soul yearns to delve deep into the realm of the unknown? I aim my satellite straight into the night sky and catch a smooth ride on the KTLK-DB radio waves. I tune into Lighting the Void with Joe Root on The Fringe FM.
Joe, Lighting the Void is the best show on the planet. This is Barney, your friend from Facebook. Thank you and all the crew for all you do. Namaste, my friend.
This is Macon from the foothills of North Carolina, and I am a void walker.
G'day, void walkers. This is Lily from down under Australia. The world may be small, the enigma is greater. So let your curiosity take you for a journey with Joe Root.
Hey, this is V, coming in from Central Maryland, and I am a void walker.
This is Kevin Doherty, a beginner void walker. I'm from Vancouver, BC. I know a little about a lot, and as Leonard Skinner said, I guess the rest. I learned a lot from Mr. Root in the show, and I heard it from the beginning. I knew right then he was going to be a new Art Bell. Thanks for all your shows, and keep it up.
Hey, this is Derek from Mass, aka the Night Stalker, and I'm a void walker.
This is Mark from Chicago, and I walk the void to ascertain what is consciousness.
My name is Jared Johnson, and I'm from Humboldt County, California. I do not know all the answers to the questions about reality. I do not claim to know the ultimate truth about life. I seek that which has been made hidden as a part of a family of explorers of consciousness. I'm a void walker. Thanks, Joe Roo.
This is Barbara Charlton from Metaphorical Archaeology. If you've ever had a traumatic paranormal experience, the effects of it may stay with you for years. Who do you talk to? You can't go to conventional help. What we do is we use emotional freedom techniques or tapping to actually neutralize the effects of that event. Maybe when you tell the story now, your heart races and your palms get sweaty. You don't even want to think about it because you don't know how to neutralize that. That's what EFT tapping does. It neutralizes those emotions. The circuit that was recorded on is gone. The energy flows freely and you're free of it. And that's what emotional freedom is all about. We offer this as a pro bono service, but this is something that I offer because no one, it seems, is helping people with these experiences. If you'd like to reach me, it's really easy. My cell phone is 214-995-3754. Please leave a message. I will get back to you as quickly as possible. Or you can email me, barb.eft@gmail.com. And EFT stands for Emotional Freedom Techniques. Reach out to me. It's confidential. This works. You won't believe the results.
Have you heard of heavy metals? Yeah! I'm not talking about the heavy metals in the junkyard. I'm talking about the heavy metals that build up in your body. Heavy metals in your body can make you feel sluggish, fatigued, and just plain off. Why not try Life Change Tea at getthetea.com? Cleansing your body and making you feel great. Cleansing the inside of your body of intruders that sneak their way into you and set up an intruder camp. Life Change Tea helps remove unwanted intruder camps. Brew it, steep it, and drink in the results. Tastes great, so you can create a new health habit. Our tea loves to help people. It just needs the chance. So order yours today by logging on to getthetea.com. That's getthetea.com. Our Life Change Super Strength Tea is waiting. This could be a beautiful relationship. Take charge of your health. Order at getthetea.com. That's getthetea.com.
The Fringe FM isn't just a radio station. We also provide services for all your audio production needs. If you're interested in live radio or pre-recorded podcasts, we're here to help. We even do audio enhancements and voiceovers if needed. If you want to do a podcast or live radio show and even want the option to syndicate on terrestrial radio, from simple audio file enhancement to live production and call screening, we have you covered. We have worked with some of the best professionals in the business in order to provide coaching instruction for content creation, show structure, and more. Contact The Fringe Digital Media for more at info@thefringe.fm. That's info@thefringe.fm, or call 501-777-5631 for a consultation.
From the Kingdom of Arkansas, you are listening to Joe Root and Lighting the Void here on the Fringe FM.
Oh man, the happy birthday messages are coming in. We're live on the Fringe FM, April 1st. Well, it's 31st in the West Coast still, but it's April 1st here on the East Coast. Got a couple of messages in the Discord. A DM from my son. Happy birthday, Dad. I love you. I love you too, son. I miss you. Oh, Corbineski. That's good. Makes you feel good when you get stuff like that. We're here tonight. Night Stalker is the co-host with me, and we're here with John Chavez, and we are talking about his movement, and he's the founder of DMT Quest, and you can go to that website at dmtquest.org. And before the break, you were talking about some of the natural mystical experiences that you've had with it. And walk us through some of this stuff that happened to you.
Yeah, sure. I mean, first and foremost, happy birthday. I didn't know it was your birthday today, so thanks for having me on your birthday.
Thanks,
Honor
man.
to you. Yeah, so in 2013, that's when my experience took place. Just to dive right into it, I was having some health problems leading up to that time, and I had to self-diagnose because for whatever reason, the doctors couldn't really figure out what was going on with me. I was having a lot of digestive issues, just feeling really uncomfortable. And I induced like a massive gastrointestinal purge that ended up leading me to have this experience of electricity from my tailbone going up to the top of my head and even out the top of my head. I guess for people that are into the esoteric topics, this would be considered a Kundalini experience or a Kundalini Awakening or something like that. I really didn't have any frame of reference for what that was at the time, but
sure.
Anyhow, I started to feel like a huge electric surge up my spine and even out my hands. I just felt like I was just a ball of electricity, and like you could just feel it buzzing all around my body. I started to feel disturbances with electronic devices around me. Sometimes they would short circuit.
Did it feel bad or good?
I felt bad. Like I couldn't turn the television on for probably about a month because I could feel whatever it was emanating. When I would walk under like telephone wires, I could feel some sort of disruption above my head, which is very strange because I always felt like, how could you feel something? You don't see anything. I mean, obviously I'd never felt anything like that before, but at that point, I started to obviously be aware that, there's an electric component to the body, and it seems as though it can be disturbed with changes in, the magnetic fields around you or whatnot. But anyhow, to start more from the basics, so anyhow, I have this experience of purging my gut, basically just shitting my guts out and having this experience of electricity flowing through my body. And I had also a sense of deep euphoria, like connection to the universe in a very strange way. The only way I could explain the feeling was like I felt like a connection to God, which was very strange to me because I had been an atheist leading up to that. And I didn't even have like a visionary experience or an auditory experience where I heard him talk or I saw something or anything of that nature. But I could only feel like a deep, strong, euphoric connection to like a force greater than myself. And anyhow, I noticed that when I would touch metal, it would get like really hot, like really fast within like 2 or 3 seconds. So I knew that there was just something very kind of strange that had happened within my body, and I was interacting with the environment in strange ways. And just as an example, at night following that initial experience, I just had the inkling to warm my feet, because I don't know about you guys, but sometimes I get cold feet at night. And I just had an intuition to warm my right foot just via visualization. I don't know why. I couldn't really explain what caused me to do it. It was just an intuition. So I just was like, okay, I'm going to visualize this electric buzz that I feel in me, and I'm going to target it at my right foot. And within like 2 seconds, it felt warm. And then I grab it with my hand, and then it felt warm, while the left foot still felt cold. And I was like, well, that's interesting. And I was like, let me try it with the left foot. And then boom, within 2 seconds, like the left foot felt warm from the outside when I touched it. And I was like, wow, that's really strange. I mean, I didn't know that you could really, I guess, alter your body in that way. At the time, I didn't know that there was even any scientific research about this sort of stuff. So I was just kind of in exploration phase. And then the following day, I'm sitting at the dinner table with my ex-girlfriend. Now she's my ex, but I decided for whatever reason, I had the intuition to use that same exact sort of visualization of electricity and just visualize myself connecting or like visualizing an electric force from my head to her head. And I didn't tell her what I was going to do, but it was kind of like low light conditions. We were kind of just relaxing. So I was like, let me just try it and see what happens. So I visualized like electricity going from my head into the middle of her head. And at the moment that the visualization got really vivid, then her head jolted back, and she had like a physical sort of reaction to it. And she was like, whoa, what was that?
Wow.
And at that moment, I got the intuition that maybe that's how telepathy works. Maybe, you visualize a connection with somebody electrically, and then maybe you can like just imagine an image going over that connection, and maybe that's how it gets in somebody's head or something like that. I don't know. I just got the strange intuition to just try that.
Well, I don't know. I've tried that with girls a million times. It's never worked. Well,
you need to have the electric. You got to have the electrical force, man.
Anyways,
it's all about altered states.
Yeah,
I mean, that can be happening all the time. Like that could be going on all day long, and people are getting jolts all the time, and they can't explain it, but people are focusing on them. We're unaware. That's wild.
Yeah, shit is wild. So basically, I go ahead and I tell her at that point, I'm going to visualize something to you, and it wasn't like I'm going to pick black or white or a color, or like I'm going to give you two options. It was like, I'm going to think of something and I'm going to put it over that connection, and, let's see if you get it. And basically what happened is that she basically got it like 5 times in a row. And at that point, like I was like, okay, and now telepathy exists. What else is there? And, so I just started to kind of like read about this stuff, because I was like, wait, this seems so far-fetched and like mystical, and I can't believe this is even happening. Like, is this real? And then I started to read more about the research that goes on in these fields, and, that the EEG device that neuroscientists use to this day to measure microelectric currents on the scalp was devised by Hans Berger in the 1920s, and he devised it to specifically be an objective measurement of telepathy, because he had a telepathic experience and he wanted to measure it. So, I mean, the thing is that tripped me out after my experience was how much scientific research had gone into these fields, in essence, sort of validating that these things do exist, but we haven't really pinpointed the mechanisms for how they're replicated. But anyhow, ever since then, I've kind of begun to understand that during altered state of consciousness, whether they be through breath work or self-hypnosis or extended fasting or meditation or a combination of all of them, for whatever reason, some of these abilities, like being able to control your body temperature and to do telepathy, is actually pretty easy. It's actually really easy. Especially, I mean, I've worked with people that are hypnotherapists that basically, a hypnotherapist is all about somebody that can sedate somebody but keep them awake at the same time. And there seems to be some sort of magic that comes online within the human body when you get into these states.
Yeah.
And most people aren't used to that. Either they're very awake, like we're talking right now, and you guys are awake, or they're sleeping. Most people aren't. They can't maintain that in between state.
Yeah. Yeah, we were talking about that just last night or the night before last, actually. Even the in-between state of a hypnagogia, there's a lot of stuff that happens there too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, that's one of the most interesting, I guess, states, I think, if you can maintain that. I mean, I don't know if you guys know about the whole Thomas Edison thing and how he used hypnagogia regularly to solve some of the problems that he couldn't solve during his normal waking consciousness. But it's been pretty well documented that some of the most well-known luminaries, the greatest minds of our time and even throughout history, have used hypnagogia in a functional sort of way to solve real life world issues.
Do you know what Edison did in particular? What his actual habit was? I know
Einstein.
Yeah, Einstein was he signed up to be a clerkist on purpose just to get in the monotony so that the answers to his questions will just pop in his subconscious while he's doing these menial tasks,
Yeah, Edison, I mean, maybe a little bit similar. He would get in his rocking chair and he would almost hold 2 shot puts in his hands, 2 heavy metal balls.
Yeah, right.
And he would kind of rock back and forth, passively focus on the issue that he was having issues with, kind of just generalized focus on the topic. And then from what I understand, what would happen is, he would rock back and forth until he actually fell asleep. And at the moment that he fell asleep, the metal balls would fall, make a huge thud, wake him up. And a lot of times he would have answers like at that split second moment.
Oh man.
So yeah, so that's obviously like a pretty drastic way to kind of tap into the hypnagogic state, but you know, it's just an example of
That's
somebody
really cool.
that
That's awesome.
Yeah,
I mean, that's doable.
One of the most famous inventors of our time, and you know, we don't really even know how he was able to tap into that brain power, but altered states are very powerful. I think not just for mystical experiences and things of that nature, but for functional aspects as well.
So
is this like what?
Maybe you did have a Kundalini awakening, because they talk about. I've heard a lot of people talk about when you have a Kundalini awakening that it kind of makes you feel like you're going crazy. Did you feel like psychologically that you might be slipping a little bit when it happened? Like, were you worried about your, psychological state at all?
Not too much. At certain moments, maybe a little bit, but you know, my ex-girlfriend really did a great job of kind of just keeping me grounded throughout the process. She was comfortable with the mystical stuff, and so she didn't really make me feel like anything was super out of order. I had a lot of questions because I didn't know any of this stuff existed. And, you know, I have a pretty logical framework. So I was like, how? Like, why? Like, I don't understand. Like, if this has been going, or if I'm not the only person that's experienced this in the history of humanity, how come people aren't aware of this stuff? You know, so I had like a lot of questions, but I wasn't really too worried about my sanity because I didn't see anything or hear anything. I was just experiencing things that could be replicable, and I showed them to people that were skeptics, and they were like, oh shit, that's wild. You know, so I mean, at that time I could do telepathy with people even if they were skeptics. And you know, it's funny because, you know, most people think, oh, telepathy, it's just in your mind, you're hallucinating. But what happens when, you know, you visualize into another person's head and you do it at a certain, I guess, strength, what happens is that they start to go into rapid eye movement, which is obviously very similar to the dream state, right?
Oh,
so you
man,
see the eyes twitching back and forth. And that became almost like a telltale sign that there was a resonance between the sender and the receiver. And that was like a very consistent thing that we would see. So it wasn't like, you know, we're just hallucinating within our own minds that we're doing telepathy. There's like a physiological sort of like objective correlate that you could see with the naked eye, you know?
Wow. So we're receiving during. So if that's the movement we make when we're receiving from the sender, does that mean during the dream state we're receiving something? Who's the sender in that scenario?
You ask good questions, man. Or you bring up good scenarios. So yeah, that's a very complex topic of conversation. I could tell you honestly, I have no idea what dreams are. I have zero clue what dreams are. I know that there's neurological activity going on in like the theta gamma state, and you know, there's differences with lucid dreaming, but I don't know where they're coming from. I don't know what they're there for. I think they're important. I think that we write them off that they're just quote unquote dreams, but yeah, I think that there's something much more important there going on.
Jeez.
Man, I would love to be able to just tap into this a little bit.
Yeah.
Seriously. So,
with the heat in your foot part, is that kind of tied to like the chi, like with like these Tibetan monks, like being able to like burn leaves and do these like crazy feats of strength, and like have you seen those videos? Like
I've seen those.
Yeah. I've seen some of that stuff. You know, if you want to take it from a materialistic scientific perspective, it could be you are, I guess, tapping into your autonomic nervous system, and it probably has a strange connectivity with altered states of consciousness that allows you to go ahead and send that signal over your nervous system. But obviously some of these things extend past the physical body, so then we're going to be talking about things outside of the nervous system, and then things get a little bit more speculative. So I would assume that they do coincide with things like chi or prana, or you know, those spiritual powers that people have. I haven't fully delved into all those abilities, but I know there are a lot.
Yeah. Jeez.
I would like to figure out. I'm seriously going to try this thing for like an hour, and you know, I'm isolated anyways. I might as well, right?
Dude, that Edison ball trick blew me away. That's something that we could be doing all the time. That's very cool.
Yeah, I mean, even like listen to, I don't know if you guys listen to like self-hypnotic tracks where you just put yourself in a trance state. I mean, most people don't know what that even feels like, but you can listen to like a hypnotic induction, and you get used to just kind of being in between awake and asleep, and you might start to have some interesting experiences. And once you get really comfortable in those states, then you might be able to maneuver those to like warm your hand or warm your foot. For whatever reason, these things happen to come online when you're in these altered states. So, I mean, I encourage people to just try strange things when you're in these altered states. You never know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Slip into another dimension, But this is what we usually get on the show is people are afraid that they're, like when we talk about the out of body experience, people are going to afraid a walk-in's going to happen. If you talk about something like this, there's always that fear state where they get afraid, like, well, what if my consciousness never goes back to the same again, or I'm not the same person anymore ever,
We like before you came on, we were just talking about that, how like we were talking about more about psychedelics, and I haven't had that experience. I haven't taken listened to all the mechanics, intrigued by it, but I was coming from a place of much more fear. But listening to you, this seems much more up my alley, much more natural. This seems like way more intriguing to me for some reason.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah. See, psychedelics aren't for everybody. I mean, high dose psychedelics can be pretty traumatizing for some people, and I think that what you could do if you wanted to dip your toe in the water is to take a low amount of psychedelics and then do the Om chanting or things like that, because then you could modulate your experience. You could bring it down if you want to. You could raise it up if you want to. But if, you're stuffing 5 or 7 grams of mushrooms down your head, and then it kind of goes haywire, then, you're going to be on a rough road for a few hours. So, I always encourage people to take a lower dose of psychedelics and combine it with breath work and Om chanting and the right music and setting, and then, just see where it can go from there. If you want to take psychedelics at all, you don't need to,
Yeah.
I must be. I feel like I'm a bad person now because I want to take 7 grams and just go for it, I guess. Like I'm never.
That's good too, though. That's fine too. Yeah.
Yeah, I can handle it. I've made it through a 16-hour hardcore acid trip that I thought I was never going to come back. But that was back in my 20s. So everything else, see, I don't know. I'm almost 40 now, so I may not be able to handle. It's probably much wiser to start out like that in any scenario, small,
Yeah, I mean, it all depends what you're looking for, right? I mean, some people want to see aliens or whatever, so you gotta take that mega dose right off the get-go, and other people want to do it for healing purposes and alleviating depression or whatever issues they're dealing with. And if that's the type of stuff that you're looking to go ahead and want to overcome, then I definitely say smaller dose. More, it's going to take more work on your end, right, with the Om chanting and the breathing and stuff like that. But I think it's well worth it. I think
that part's cool though. The work to me makes it seem like it's like a reward. Like it seems like you're getting a treat after all the work.
Exactly.
Like you earned it.
Yeah, and from what I understand, at least from my experience too, is that once you have that breakthrough experience, naturally, it's a lot easier to revisit that without putting in 90 minutes of Om chanting, because that neural circuitry is kind of built. It's kind of like train tracks. Once you built them, then it's easy to just kind of run through them again rather than having to lay them down,
Yeah. Cool.
Very interesting. Very interesting. Yeah. I feel like for sure before the week's up, possibly tomorrow, I'm going to be doing some Om chanting. I think. Yeah.
This is great, dude. I'm blown away by this. This is cool.
Bry's got a question. If you guys want to call in too, you can. It's 1-800-588-0335. He said, while you're having this experience, did you ever black out?
No, never blacked out. I mean, that was probably the strangest thing about it all, is that I didn't have any visual hallucinations, auditory hallucinations. I just had like a crazy strong like electric sensation throughout my body that took place for about, I would say, 2 months. Like it never went away. So I think that's why it allowed me to kind of really delve into the mechanics of all this, because I was able to kind of play with it and maneuver it for a prolonged period of time and explore it rather than just, it happened spontaneously and it went away in like 3 days. And, I got a short taste of magic, and then, like I just kind of was left with a lot of questions, but that's not really how it went. I've still even retained some of those abilities even to this day. So it's a very strange situation, my friends.
With the telepathy, like we're constantly trying to figure out how to like meet on the astral plane and do all that kind of crazy stuff. So like when you were putting these when you were having these telepathic experiments, was it all local? Were you all in the same room, or could it be done like? Okay, yeah. Does that seem to matter?
I don't think it matters, but like I'm only comfortable talking about in-room telepathy and the physiological correlates, like the rapid eye movement, or you see somebody's like forehead kind of twitching from like the connection. So, I mean, that's the only thing I've experienced. I've tried long distance stuff and I've had some success with it, but it's interesting because a few months ago I actually met up with Beverly Rubik. She's been a longtime researcher of like distant healing and physiological emanations taking place during these altered states. And she's a biophoton researcher, so she's actually done studies where she could see biophotons emanating from like the healer's hands, or like somebody who's opening their closing their quote unquote third eye at will. She's actually measured that and put that in a publicly available research paper about these people emitting photons from their third eye and then closing them when they want to. So she actually mentioned to me that from her 40 years of researching this field, that up close and personal does make a difference. And there's a stronger effect when you're in close proximity.
Wow.
Man.
That's cool.
All good questions, Night Stalker. I should just let you do the show tonight, man.
Sorry, but I'm talking.
No. I'm loving it. I'm definitely loving it. We're on our last break here. If you guys got any questions for the guest, please call in, or you can go to the chat room too. You can go to thefringe.fm/chat room to join our Discord server, or call in. Hits 1-800-588-0335. This is Lighting the Void live. We're definitely void walking tonight. It's officially April the 1st, 30 minutes away from April the 1st on the West Coast. I love it. Loving it.
Happy birthday, Bruno.
Talk radio, then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on 24/7 with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
The truth is out there, and so are we. KTLK, Digital Broadcasting, The Fringe FM.
Want to support Lighting the Void? Just go to lightingthevoid.com, sign up on our membership page, and pick your package where you can get exclusive content, readings, and exclusive behind-the-scenes content. Also, check out the LTV shop where you can get your very own altar box, t-shirt, shack, hoodie with sigil, Roswell-style t-shirt, racerback tees, socks, long-sleeve shirts, stickers, and beanies. Keep Lighting the Void airing 5 nights a week by going to lightingthevoid.com and support today.
Hey, is that a new music app?
Yeah, check it out. Surfer Music Discovery. It links to thousands of online stations, but the twist is you see the song names and artists that are now playing live.
That's different. No guessing. Looks like a waterfall of music.
So many formats. Rock, oldies, country, R&B, jazz, and a whole lot more.
How's that spelled?
Surfer. S-U-R-F-R.
Is it expensive?
It's free. No need to sign up or sign in.
Get the Surfer Music app free from Google Play or the App Store. Telepath is a weekly digital newsletter filled with the latest paranormal news, trending topics, and fresh articles from some of the most popular critical thinkers in the community today. Stay informed on your favorite paranormal podcasts and live streaming talk shows. Interact with the Telepath and upload your paranormal story or pics. It could be featured in an upcoming edition. Sign up right now for the free Telepath newsletter at paranormal.radio. That's paranormal.radio.
Lighting the Void and the Esoteric Scholar present the Altar Box, crafted and designed for magicians by magicians. Now you can take your practice with you. This beautifully handcrafted mobile altar opens and works as an altar for any of your spiritual, religious, or ritual practices. Made to travel and work in small spaces, the Altar Box comes with hidden compartments for your practice tools and accessories. The Altar Box also comes with a dark scrying mirror for scrying and reverses and fits perfectly also as a chalkboard for any sigil, symbol, or whatever you see fit to sketch. The Altar Box was handcrafted to carry as a small suitcase, so you may take your practice with you, and the hinges are made with solid material and hinged with leather and rivets for extra strength. The mirror piece and floor plate fit perfectly when closed, so no movement will happen. Use it in small places as well. You can practice meditation, magic, planetary magic, sigil magic, scrying, ritual. Never be without your practice tools again, no matter the setting or where you go. And this season, give the gift of magic for yourself or your loved one by grabbing your Altar Box. Was $249.99, now $199.99. The sale ends January 1st, 2021. Just go to lightingthevoid.com/altarbox and get yours while the sale lasts.
I don't know all the answers to the questions about reality. I do not claim to know the ultimate truth about life. I seek that which has been made hidden as a part of the family of explorers of consciousness. I am a void walker. Hey, this is Macon, and you're listening to Lighting the Void with Joe Root.
Oh man, sometimes you have just fantastic live shows like tonight, and sometimes it just, you never know what's going to happen. This show is live, by the way, right? It sounds so much better than last night's show because we had some technical difficulties. But my point is this show is always live. The calls are unscreened, so it's incredibly fun. Calling number is 1-800-588-0335. Our guest, John Chavez, is here with us. Night Stalker is my co-host. You go to dmtquest.org, and John just got through talking to us about his experience with endogenous DMT, which is, I guess you have to explain this quite a bit when you talk about this, because the second most people even talk about DMT, they start thinking, smoking it or like the Joe Rogan type stuff. And you're just talking about how it naturally occurs in the body and the research that needs to kind of be done behind this, right? I mean, I don't want to assume stuff, but tell me a little bit more about what you're doing with the Quest and how that's going.
Yeah, I mean, so we just released the first documentary, I think first or second week of January. We almost got 250,000 views on it so far. And it just kind of dives into the journey of the DMT discussion over the past 50 years, more so, the past 10 or 15 years, where we saw just the popularity skyrocket. Obviously, Joe Rogan talking about it, Mike Tyson even being really vocal about his experience with 5-MeO DMT, and just the fact that there wasn't enough research behind it, and there was a 2019 study that kind of changed the game. In that study, I haven't mentioned, they also found that in the visual cortex of rats at the moment of death, or not the moment of death, but after, I guess, the cardiac arrest, they saw a 600% increase of DMT in the visual cortex. So that provides some sort of support for the notion that DMT or endogenous DMT is released at elevated levels during the near-death experience. But we also include Wim Hof, 26 Guinness World Record holder, Iceman, because we believe that, or I believe that, part of his abilities of tapping into his supernatural aspect is upregulating endogenous DMT via his breathing exercises. So one of the main findings from the 2019 study was that DMT is actually produced at the choroid plexus of the brain. The choroid plexus is where cerebral spinal fluid is made, and cerebral spinal fluid bathes the entire brain and is found all within the spinal cord. And the fact that DMT is produced at that specific aspect of the brain leads me to believe that DMT is probably made the most via breathwork, because breathwork controls the secretion and movement of cerebral spinal fluid. So we're kind of getting into technicalities a little bit, but anyhow, Wim Hof method, I believe, upregulates endogenous DMT. We did a brain mapping and featured that in the documentary of somebody doing Wim Hof method. And if you compare that to somebody who's done DMT or ayahuasca, there are a lot of similarities. Even though the visionary states might be a little bit different, there's a lot of overlap. So what I'm getting with this is that I believe that there's a functionality to endogenous DMT upregulation. Yeah, people have mystical states with near-death experiences or maybe even dream states, but what about concepts like healing? What about concepts like visualization, things of that nature, right? I mean, earlier I discussed being able to, warm my foot up during my altered state of consciousness or spiritual experience or whatnot. But what if somebody were able to change the blood flow of their liver or their pancreas or any part of their body? What if they could change the temperature of any part of their body? I mean, we know that there's good research regarding cancer having a lot of problems living in an environment that's abnormally warm, while your normal cells will have no problem surviving. So what if you could visualize that heat within you and address your disease in that sort of manner? I think that there's potential there. And based on all the research that I've read over the past decades, it seems as though some of this stuff has actually been looked into. It just hasn't been really well documented in terms of like media coverage and people making documentaries about it. So it's just not popularized. And that's really where my interest is in popularizing some of these functional aspects of the supernormal. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense, actually. All this is doing is making me want to have the experience more, by the way. That's it.
Yeah, and you got to remember there's nuances in the experience. It's not just like, if you don't see aliens, it doesn't mean you didn't have an experience. But even being able to, modulate the temperature of your limb, that would be an experience within itself, wouldn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
Man, I would love to be able to modulate my temperature, especially living up here in upstate New York.
Yeah,
it gets really cold. You got the heat up and you're still freezing. Yeah, it'd be nice.
I'm gonna.
Oh, good.
I'll send you guys an audio track of that I made that it focuses on put you in the altered state of consciousness and then gives you some visualization techniques. And what's interesting is that it's worked really well for people that don't meditate at all and don't have any sort of practice. So I'd like to see you guys try it, and then maybe you guys give me some feedback, and then we could build from there.
Definitely. Yeah. I'll do that for sure. Yeah. Hell yeah.
Is it got like a hemisync or binaural beats in it, or is it something totally different?
Yeah, it has that. I mean, binaural beats they're very useful. I mean, I don't know if there's like a discredit campaign where they try to say binaural beats don't exude the effects that they say they do, but
definitely
based on the research that I've seen and the experiences that I've had, binaural beats are a great way to enter into altered states. And then you combine binaural beats with hypnotic induction, then you could really get into a deeply altered state and then have some fun.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, they definitely do. I mean, the first time I ever had any kind of paranormal experiences was with binaural beats or hemisync, But yeah, and the technology with that is getting better and better with the music and what they can do now. Some of the, because I've heard some even from Hemisync. There's like, I don't really hear the difference or really feel it. And then there's these other ones that are even just like free on YouTube that will just, you can't even handle them. They're so intense for like a few minutes. You know what I mean? So I think, yeah, totally down for that.
I mean, I think there's so much potential with audio and binaural beats. I've even read a study where, you know, to have like good sleep integrity is very important for your physical body and healing of all sorts of disease, especially things like Alzheimer's or dementia. And then I saw a study where they had people have the AirPods, you know, the wireless earbuds in the subject's ears, and then they would crank up like a delta binaural beat throughout the nighttime, and it showed that the people slept so much better when they had the binaural beat on. They felt so much more refreshed. Their cognition was better during the morning, things of that nature. So, I mean, there's so many things that we could tap into technology-wise to help the society be a little bit more healthy.
It works for me. Like when I'm trying to nap during the day, a lot of times it's just because there's like nurses coming in and out, so I'm trying to just drown out the background noise. But like when I wake up, I feel much better than I do when I don't listen to the beats to fall asleep. But like to go back to the healing, like
yeah.
Sorry, Joe. Go ahead.
No, I was actually going to ask you about that.
Like, could this be what I'm just imagining? Like the classic like healing minister, like rubbing their hands together and healing somebody, or even like a Jesus figure. Could they be tapping into this type of power? Is that potentially?
Like, are you talking about like Benny Hinn? You're healed.
Or anybody.
You're healed. You're healed. Praise Jesus.
I just watched the X-Files episode about that from the first season I just watched recently, where like they're healing via their hands, like they touch the person and they cure their ailments and stuff. Could that
Those
be
guys
what you're
also
doing?
have like G5 airplanes too, so I'm just saying.
Yeah, no, I know, obviously, like, yeah, but conceptually, I mean.
It's interesting, right? Because if you want to take a very materialistic scientific perspective of it all, it seems completely possible when you look at things like the default mode network and the central nervous system and how those things are kind of interconnected, and usually a lot of the disease that we have in our body correlate with things like trauma. And if you want to take the conversation of like psychedelics completely restructuring the default mode network, which allow people to alleviate depression, and interestingly enough, a lot of people have reported spontaneous healings of disease, especially with things like ayahuasca.
Yeah.
So I think that there's a lot of overlap with hands-on healing. I think there's a lot of charlatans out there, but I do think there are some real healers out there for sure that do have the ability to really alter somebody else's nervous system based on their intent. I think that's completely possible.
Oh, well, here's another scenario for you. I've also, and this is kind of a left turn, but I see a lot of people doing this salvia stuff too, and I think, man, after watching the videos of people doing that on YouTube, I maybe 10 or 11 videos of people drooling on themselves or passing out. I'm thinking, how are people even talking about this? Either I'm not like watching the right way to do it, or these people are really making it out to be something it's not. Like, you know what I'm saying? Salvia is not even DMT.
Salvia, man.
It's stupid to me, right? Doesn't it seem stupid? And my point is like things like this and videos like that are reasons why that we have other shows, radio hosts, and other TV people saying, well, DMT is just other people trying to come up with an excuse to get high, calling it scientific. There's still people out there saying that, you know?
That's okay. I mean, everybody's going to have their opinion, right? You're not going to be able to please everybody. But yeah, salvia, from what it seems like, it's for very, very, very adventurous people that just want to experience some high strangeness. And
yeah, for sure.
I'm not really digging that, but you know, to each his own. I can't fault people for doing that, you know.
Yeah. I mean, you can't really like.
Well, I can.
If you're doing breathing, definitely. Yeah, it seems kind of lame. But like, if you're doing breathing techniques to get in these altered states, nobody can really say anything bad about you in that context. Like those other hosts you were saying, Joe. I mean, like that seems like it's a good way to change people's opinions if you're acquiring these states through just breathing or just these natural means. It takes away the drug factor of it that might freak some conservative people out.
It's DMT to me is something that I just really want to experience it based on what everybody's told me about. Even reading Dick Kahn's book, and he did like the 5-MeO DMT, where he had that experience that, he thought he was gonna die, kind of, but even his experience in talking about that, it all seems very spiritual to me. It doesn't seem like someone's huffing paint just to get the wah-wahs or something. I don't know.
For sure, yeah.
Yeah, there does seem to be a spiritual connotation to those aspects, even though some people can have very traumatic experiences with DMT. I mean, it's not like it's a smooth sail for everybody. I don't know if you guys have heard some of the more challenging experiences in Rick Strassman's trial, and this is in a clinical setting. They screened everybody before they went in to make sure they didn't have like major psychological issues and health issues going in. So, they did a pretty good job screening and keeping everybody safe, but people still had some crazy ass, pretty traumatic experiences as well.
Yeah.
I think I did watch this one video where there was, there's a lot of people calling themselves shamans. I'm sure you guys have seen it, where they gave this girl like a way too high a dose of DMT, and she was just on her face, like screaming at the top of her lungs.
Yeah, I saw it, yeah.
Oh my God, it was the scariest thing ever to watch. And these so-called shaman guys are just standing there like looking around. Oh man, what do we do? Just kind of pat her on the back until it's over with. Like they're petting her like she's a dog. It's okay. And she's screaming bloody murder like she's being stabbed to death. And they're just patting her on the back. It's okay. It's a beautiful experience.
My fear is being trapped in some, like, you hear this, like the stories that like Irish Shafir tells and stuff about like being in a world for like an entire lifetime and then like coming back to this one. And that's the kind of stuff that like freaks me out. Just getting.
He did that with that salvia though. That was totally.
That's true. Yeah. Well, like we're getting towards the end, so like a little more just kind of speculating. So like, what do you think is like the purpose? Like, what's the higher reason we have this in the body, and like, what potential do you like? Where do you see in like a perfect scenario, like 100 years, 1,000 years from now, if we all utilize these techniques, like where could we be as a society?
Oh,
like, do you ever think about that?
Yeah, well, you're asking me a pretty deep question, and I probably would give you an answer that sounds insane.
No, please, I like it.
Well, the human potential, obviously, we're just scratching the surface, right? Because it's not like telepathy is like the end of the road and the ultimate, right? That's like just like barely scratching the intro. So it's like, how far does this go? Like
exactly.
So yeah, well, I would say that I think that tapping into full supernormal human potential, at least from my vantage point, that's probably something that could be provable within 100 years, is that the human body doesn't need the whole caloric aspect of eating and that sort of thing probably wouldn't exist. I think that people can exist with like way less food and nourishment through other methods. I think that, we can heal ourselves with the mind once we better understand altered states of consciousness. Absolutely. I think that one of the good things about attaining these naturally altered states is that it just gives you a perspective change, right, on life, on how to treat others, how to treat yourself. And once, let's say, like the entire world became aware of this and they started to adopting those sort of practices, then the world changed almost in a flash, right? Because we start to treat each other differently and we start to value things differently. And those are the things that are some of the most important things in terms of changing the world, is changing our values.
Yeah.
So, if we really, have these practices and adopt these practices on a regular basis en masse, then that's how the world changes. And, some of the more mystical, supernormal stuff is kind of like a byproduct of the game. But, I think that, that you have to start at the most basic. But, I get the feeling like we would know how to tap into dreams for tangible information. Even for healing, I've heard of people healing physical illnesses in their lucid dreams. So it's the whole thing is, you asked a really in-depth question that I really can't, put a full-on answer to, because it's a lot.
It's like the singularity. We can't see beyond it. It's like it's too much to. Like once we reach that one thing, it's tough to predict where it would go.
Well, Monroe talked about in Evolved Societies that he visited out of his out-of-body states, that he visited these planets or a planet that had an evolved society, and their consciousness was at such a level, the humans they just used their bodies as vehicles. It was the other way around. Yeah. Like they could literally leave their body under a tree, and they didn't wear clothes, by the way.
Oh, man.
Leave their body under a tree and explore the universe and come back to it anytime they want. Wow.
That's cool.
Yeah. I mean, I get the feeling that that's really kind of what we were more meant to do that here, rather than getting kind of sucked into this whole thing, like, as if this was the only thing. That's my like deep intuition about how it all works. But
dude, that makes a lot of sense. No, that makes a lot of sense, especially like spiritually too. That adds a lot of layers to everything.
Yeah, and
Jeez.
I forget how long he said, but I think it was like for hours at a time, and they could like he was saying, they could heal themselves. They weren't really worried about their health because they learned a different type of technology, not iPhone and Android technology, but learning the art and science of the conscious technology, kind of like what the Egyptians were tapped into, but a little bit more than that. So they could control the weather with it, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, if you didn't have to worry about food or health, or I mean, if you're not worried about food or health, you're probably not worried too much about money either. So then you're just tapping into higher and higher levels of consciousness. And I mean, who knows where it could take society from there, but that's really cool. He talked about tapping into that in his out-of-body experience and seeing that.
Yeah, apparently, according to him, we're still at like a low level of evolution of consciousness, that they have beings that get up to, I don't know, mass levels. Like I said, they control everything. The plant life, they pretty much control everything alive with their consciousness, and use their bodies as just vehicles to play around in the physical realm. It's like completely opposite.
Yeah, you guys should pick up that book by Jeffrey Mishlove. I don't know if you guys watch his YouTube channel much. I think it's probably one of the best out there. But he wrote a book called The PK Man. I think that stands for like the Psychokinesis Man. And
I'll check it out.
Mishlove is a legitimate researcher. I think he's the only parapsychologist with a PhD. And he studied a guy that was, at least Mishlove claims when he studied him, he was legitimately changing the weather and changing all sorts of crazy stuff that people wouldn't think is possible. So, it's there's stuff. There's people tapping into all sorts of interesting things right now, somewhere in the world.
Yeah.
I'm down for it, man. Because I mean, like I'm so far beyond interested in the mundane. I mean, I'm not saying that we all don't have to deal with it, pay bills and all this other stuff, right? But like, do we want to focus on the next mumble rap video and Satan shoes, or like, do we want to explore the universe? I mean, if you really could make that choice, what would you do?
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, it's all about, I think this whole human existence is all about raising our consciousness, so we don't have to come back to this specific whatever reality, and we can go to other realities. But I think we kind of get caught up in this cycle of this karmic cycle. I don't know if you guys have read much about the whole reincarnation research at the University of Virginia and things of that nature, but
yeah,
there's a lot of good periphery support indicating that this whole reincarnation aspect and karma is a real thing. So it's a complicated game that we're in, that's for sure.
Well, I'm glad that you're out there doing the good work. You and other people like Dennis McKenna and everybody that's doing this work. I hope that it does grow into something like what you're talking about with what you're doing. I hope people do take it more seriously, because I believe that the human body can heal it. Nature can heal itself. And DMT to me is like the ultimate nature sauce, so to speak, right? It seems that way. But it's also, you know, there has been some people that have had crazy experiences, but I don't know. I got
you
one
get
last,
lost in the sauce, you know?
Yeah, but I want one right. I want one last question here for you. What I've heard from a lot of spiritual people when they talk about the DMT experience, whether it's endogenous or however it happens to you, they say when you're ready for it, then it will come to you. It's always weird and synchronistic. Was that true in your case, or did it just throw you off guard?
My experience, yeah, it happened when it needed to. Absolutely. I kind of was a little bit misguided at the time, thinking that an interest was a real passion. And then, you know, I had this happen, and then I think I found my real passion. So absolutely. I think you'll have your mystical experience when you need it. I think the world works in very strange ways, and things like synchronicity is real and fate is real. So yeah, I would say everything happened at the right time, and it continues to unfold properly.
I mean, tonight for me personally, like I was ready to kind of fall asleep. Like I was kind of wishing Joe a happy birthday, and he goes, "Hey, nice talker."
No way, dude. You got to come on.
Hop on the show. And then I'm very, very interested in this stuff, and I'm like going to try it for sure. So
right on, man. Yeah, check out the documentary, and you know, if you're interested in more of the technical aspects, you can read some of the book. Like everything is for free on the website. So, you know, if you're interested in the more technical aspect, you can go ahead and check that out as well.
Very awesome.
You know, thanks for coming on, man. It was good to have you back on the show. It was good to talk to you again. Next time, let's not wait 2 years to talk again. You know, we'll do it soon. Right.
I'm down anytime, and you know, hopefully we'll go ahead and release a second episode of DMT Quest later on this year, and maybe I could be back on the show talking about what's going on with that episode.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Absolutely. And tomorrow night, I want to hear everybody. Before I announce this, go to your website's DMT Quest. How can they follow you on social media? Do you have a Twitter, Facebook? Plug away by all means. Let's get behind this.
Yeah, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, DMT Quest. Just go to the website. You can find the links for all the social media out there. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. You know, you can check out the documentary. It's for free on YouTube, no ads. I think YouTube put one ad as default because that's what they're doing now with every video. But if it was up to me, I wouldn't have any ads on it. So, yeah, just check it out. Give me some feedback, and we'll keep it moving.
Awesome. Yeah, all right. Thanks for coming on. And again, tomorrow night, it's going to be the birthday show. So if you guys, I want to hear, if you love me at all, I want to hear every one of your voices. If you've ever thought about calling in, tomorrow night's the time to do it. It's the perfect time. If you love me, call in. If you don't even have to love me. If you even halfway like me, call in and talk to us. We're going to have something cool. We'll figure it out. Anyways, The Secret Teachings with Ryan Gable's coming up next. We'll be back live tomorrow night. Happy April Fools, everybody. Good night.
Good night.
Right on. Good night.